Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a text with a really radical idea about what it takes to achieve enlightenment, and it's one that challenges some of our most deeply held beliefs about what it means to be human.
So, let's just get right to it. The entire argument we're looking at today really boils down to this one single question. It's a tough one, for sure, and that's exactly what the author wants us to wrestle with. Let's see how they build their case.
All right, so where does the author even begin with this? Well, they kick things off with a pretty startling claim about what spiritual achievement really is, and it suggests that what we often think of as our greatest strength might in fact be our biggest obstacle.
And here it is, the central claim. To get to the highest state of being, you have to be free from all personal relationships and special bonds. Yeah, you heard that right. The idea here isn't about loving people less, but about loving everyone equally. And this isn't a suggestion, it's presented as an absolute must for transcendence. Okay, so you're probably thinking, where is this coming from? And what's so fascinating is how the author doesn't just pull this out of thin air. They actually ground this really challenging argument in the teachings and actions of some of history's most revered spiritual figures. They're definitely drawing on a deep well of tradition here. First up, they point to this really powerful statement attributed to Jesus. Now, the interpretation here is that our closest ties, our family, can become our greatest spiritual enemies, precisely because our attachment to them is so deep. It's a tough pill to swallow. And it doesn't stop there. Next, the text brings in the Buddha, talking about a bodhisattva. That's someone on the path to becoming a Buddha. The argument is that this state of being demands freedom from all attachments, because, enlightenment itself is defined by being free from seeing me versus you, which is the very foundation of any special relationship. And then we get this amazing example, not just in words, but in action. We're talking about Laozi. After writing the Tao Te Ching, he just leaves, alone. No family, no friends. The text presents this not as something sad, but as the ultimate act of spiritual freedom. A real-life example of the philosophy. So what does this look like on a bigger scale? Well, the author then takes this personal philosophy and expands it into a vision for a whole new kind of society, one that's basically designed to get rid of these special bonds right from the start. So the text paints this picture of what it calls the 1,000-year realm, and in this place, the whole idea of a stranger just doesn't exist. Can you imagine a world where universal kinship is the norm? Everyone is family, so no single person is special family? And get this isn't just some vague idea. The text lays out a very specific and frankly pretty jarring blueprint for how you'd actually build this society. It's all about raising kids without a discriminating mind, making sure they see every single person on a completely equal footing from day one. So after showing us this kind of utopian, or maybe to some of you, dystopian vision, the author turns that same critical lens back on our world, and specifically on the relationships we tend to cherish the most. And the point is incredibly blunt. If you have someone you're attached to, you are still immortal. Period. The text argues that this attachment is the literal dividing line. Heaven, in this view, is a place totally free of these special bonds like marriage or family. And wow, the critique gets even sharper when it talks about marriage. Look at this comparison. Strangers are frank and candid, but a married couple is mutually bound. Strangers are independent and free, while a married couple is described as a mutual kidnapping. That is intense. And this isn't just about personal happiness. The argument scales up. It basically says that a lot of our biggest societal problems, things like greed and corruption, actually start with this same basic impulse. The desire to help our own family and kids, often at the expense of everyone else. Okay, so if attachment is the big problem, for you personally and for society as a whole, then what's the solution? What's the path to what this text calls true freedom? Well, the end goal here is identified as nirvana, and the definition is key. It's not just some fuzzy feeling of peace. The text is super specific. It's a state you get to by the extinction of all desires and attachments. You have to let it all go. So how do you get there? The text points to this really famous line from the Heart Sutra, Shin Ugwa Ai. It means your heart is without hindrance, or without attachment. And in the logic of this text, the hindrance is the attachment. So a free heart is an unattached heart. And that right there brings the whole argument full circle. It's presented as a really clear cause and effect relationship. If you can get rid of your personal attachments, you get rid of the mental delusions that are blocking you from enlightenment. It's framed as the direct path.
So, what we've walked through here is a powerful and, let's be honest, probably a really unsettling argument for a lot of us. It asks us to imagine a reality of universal love, but at the cost of personal, special love. And that leaves us with this huge question, the real trade-off at the heart of this whole philosophy. In this quest for total freedom, what is gained, and what essential part of our humanity might be lost forever?